was most enlightening, especially the part with the lemon muffin. Actually, I was wondering, do you know of any other places famed for their cuisine? Limsa Lominsa is home to the Culinarians Guild, and many less than savory establishments. Wouldn't that I had the time to visit. The more I learn of Etheirys, the more I wish we could spare it from the final days. Alas, Heiden's orders are to flee, not to resist. If only there was some other way. Green, I trust thy time at the Mariel Agronomics did bear fruit. Our own efforts, too, were rewarded. We now possess an embarrassment of educational riches. No doubt our guests' relentless pursuit of knowledge could occupy them. And us, for a fortnight. Alas, time is of the essence. Let us return to the Charlian hamlet forthwith. I shall gladly attend to each and every Loporit there, should further questions within my power to answer arise. Oh. Thank you for the teleport.
Of course, of course. Yes, Green, that was indeed me verbalizing a sigh to express my emotional state. Do you want to know why? Because I saw the reconstructed environmental data for Etheirys at Logisticon Alpha, that's why. A forest so lovely and so leafy. Are all your forests like that?
You should see the forest of the first. One was purple.
Gasp, I say. With a star so wonderful, it comes to no surprise that you're reluctant to leave it behind. I was a fool to think otherwise, to assume that the moon was something worth being proud of. How ridiculous we must seem to you, trying so hard yet achieving so little.
Not at all. Thy works are no less worthy for the uniqueness. I thought I heard tiny voices. It's Thancred. How didst thou fare? Oh, I was able to glean a fair bit from the researchers while helping to move their cargo. Preparations have proceeded without interruption here, despite news of the coming end. We have the forum's leadership to thank for that. That doesn't mean people aren't worried, though. Quite the opposite. Knowing disaster could strike at any moment, they hurry to complete their work, equally aware that a single error could be the difference between life and death. We can hardly tell them there's no cause for concern. Perhaps not. Though aided by a goodly growing way, we may yet find other ways to lighten their burden.
Me? Be of use to people? I'm honored that you would think me so capable, but I'm not sure that I'm up to the challenge.
Nevertheless, I believe in thee.
If you say so, I suppose it can't hurt to try.
I passed someone moping in the Western Plaza that looked like to be in need of a helping paw. Perhaps you might start with him.
Is as good as a place as any. Come.
Oh, can I help you? It is you would help me. Is my anxiety truly so obvious?
A burden shared is a burden eased. Pray, tell us of thy troubles.
Those little fellows do look like good listeners. I'm an engineer, you see, and what they say of the ship. That's the sum of decades of Charlatan ingenuity that's built with peerless, elegant technology is all true, but I know that none of that's a guarantee. We never before launched a starfaring vessel, let alone flown it in the great expanse. All the tests we've run have been on the ground. Only operational personnel and cargo will be aboard for this voyage, but even so, if it fails us then, what can we do? And if it doesn't, it could fall apart on the next flight, or the one after that. We've done everything we can to prevent that from happening, but it hardly matters. We thought the Aether Burner's design was flawless too, and look how that turned out.
Thou art familiar with these most daunting technologies, and thus dost thou hold the power to allay his fears.
Oh, I'm not sure about that, but, well... Maybe you could tell me if there are any aspects of the ship's design that you're especially worried about?
Our ability to walk about and perform our tasks, for one. I devised a means by which to employ gravity, a spatio-temporal spell, to regulate the environment. But what if it's not strong enough? What if everyone floats away and begins crashing into things as soon as we left the star?
Ah, gravitation. Maybe I can be of help after all. Up there is not so different from down here, you see. The same rules apply, and if you consider them as part of the one great big cosmos rather than separate places.
I suspect both parties shall find comfort in this conversation. Yet if Thancred's tale be true, still others would benefit from insights born of experience. Might I prevail upon the Lopporits to attend them?
An excellent idea if I do say so myself. There's naught we'd like to more than to ease the hearts of the flying people of Etheirys, and learn more about them while we're at it.
Lopperit cheering.
Full glad am I to hear it. Gather thy companions and bring them hither. Green, thou hast a gift for finding souls in need of succor.
Yes, it's called the overhead icons.
Pray seek thee out the distressed and the apprehensive, and inform them that help is at hand. I shall await them here, that I might introduce each to a suitable Lopperit.
Oh, I do so look forward to that. A place for every Lopperit and every Lopperit in their place.
Concerns? Nay, there's no point in worrying at this stage. It'll only make the work go that much the slower. This only seems to be coping well. Distracted researcher. 56 bunches of weeds on the ground, 56 bunches of weeds. Rip one out, add to the amount, 55 bunches of weed on the... Hey, I'm not neglecting my duties, I swear. I'm sorry?
I didn't know this was a dispensary.
Ah. I was in need of a little break, you see, and I found myself unable to relax at all. So I went on a walk and I noticed these weeds and...
pleasant conversation of partners and oh so fuzzy. Goodness me, that does sound like a better way to relax. End of the world is not yet, the work goes no faster. Schedules are such temperamental things, feasible one moment, utter bollocks the next. And yet, I never felt so alive.
This one is beyond your help. Only sleep can save her now.
What am I thinking about? The medical facilities on the ship, of course. I designed it with the assistance of our sage and chirurgeons, but to imagine every illness or injury that one might face in the great expanse is beyond any of us. To say nothing of the effects that living out there indefinitely might have on the body. The crew from the moon! Why did I not think of that?
Is there anything bothering me? Well, I've been loading cargo for bells now, so my back feels like a voice since played as a piano. Feet and knees, drums and cymbals too.
Venus seems fine, he's just in need of a break. Consult our collaborators? I suppose that'd be more effective than sitting here brooding. I'm attempting to calculate how much cargo we can consolidate into fewer trips should the Aether burner make our original estimates unfeasible. But there are simply too many variables. I feel as if my brow will turn inside out. But perhaps our lunar associate will have more insight into how much weight constitutes too much weight for our purposes. Thank you for letting me know. My face? What's wrong with my... Ow! Perhaps I am a bit tense. I was tasked with ensuring that the proper fauna, and only the proper fauna, are brought with us to the moon. However, the suitability of a few species is still under debate, and I can hardly make a decision myself when I know so little about the environment up there. Including the Lopporits in our discussion is a wonderful idea. I certainly will, thank you. Perhaps their biology itself might offer some clue as well.
You! Yes, you idiot! Have you seen an envelope lying about? This imbecile refused to give me the alchemic I ordered without that bloody slip of parchment. Unless your friends have a spell to make me remember where I dropped my damned envelope, I doubt they'll be more help than you. And you wasted enough of my time already.
It would be unfortunate for all involved to inflict this man upon the Lopporits.
Blasted assistants, where have they gone to at a time like this?
Beg pardon, I have not the time for idle chit-chat. I need to reconfirm that 8 levels are consistent throughout this vessel's machinery. Seems I shall have to do so single-handedly. I swear when I find those assistants of mine.
The Lopporits are willing to help. Oh, why didn't you say so? At least they will moan about how they checked 24 times already and haven't slept in weeks, lazy sods.
How might I help you? My, what a lovely idea! I too noticed people becoming rather tense, so I rushed out to pluck some fresh and fragrant tea leaves. Now I need only track down 100 or so cups. But don't you worry, I can manage. I hope your plan to cheer everyone up goes well.
This woman is doing better than you are.
Worries. No, I believe I'm fine, thank you. I've been confiding in my colleagues and it's helped a lot. Can't recommend it enough. This researcher already has the support she needs. Have you heard of anything of what's on the moon? I know that we can make it up there, but the searching for a new star part of the planet sounds awfully vague to me. I asked the forum, they will only tell us that our collaborators have everything under control. Forgive me, but I don't feel particularly safe wandering through the sea of stars on gods what made by gods know who. You mean to say I can speak to them directly? Amazing! I hope they like questions. Just leave me to my misery. The forum can appoint someone else. I apologize. I simply don't know what to do. How am I supposed to pilot the Ark if I'm already falling apart under the pressure?
You know, a starship pilot I might speak with. Truly. Well, then there's no time to waste. They can help me prepare for this monumental task.
Oh no, that's either, but that walkway.
Ah. No, I already got that person.
Okay.
Mikote. Apologies, but I'm waiting a delivery. Whatever it is, we'll have to wait. Seems like Leonard is too busy for a chat, for his benefit or otherwise. By the gods, my chest is tight. Am I dying? This is what dying feels like. Oh, do pardon me. I didn't see you there. There's no cause for concern, I assure you. No cause for concern. Even though we may need to depart at any moment, if the hull I designed buckles under the strain, the entire vessel may explode on launch, claiming countless lives and dooming all mankind, but that is highly unlikely. Yes, highly unlikely. Highly. All visits can help me triple check for structural flaws, you say? Why, that would be wonderful. I'm breathing more easily already. Behold, Green. Through thine efforts, word had spread throughout Labyrinthos. Verily, to a far greater number than we anticipated. Living way doth gather more Lopporits as we speak. I shall assign each in accordance with their skills, that new bonds of friendship might be forged. Should greater matters require not thine attentions, watch over them, I prithee.
Phew! Oh, finally some rest! Why, I haven't spoken so much in, well, in forever.
Lively, isn't it? The town is abuzz. Everyone eager to meet with our friends from the moon.
Twould behoove you to consult with Sleeping Way. As our moon's pilot, his advice should be most pertinent.
I'm impressed. Truth be told, I struggle to tell one from another. No offense intended, of course.
None taken. After you and your friends left Mare Elementorum, we spent no small amount of time with your Urianger. Oh, the conversations we had. He told us all about Etheirys, answered our every question, no matter how trifling or trivial. Look! Every page filled to the margins with knowledge. When I first arrived, I was struck by how little I knew. It was daunting. But then I realized that, were it not for Urianger and his teachings, we'd still be stuck on the moon, gazing at your world and wondering what we've been missing.
What would they think if they could see Urianger now? I dare say they'd be more than a bit surprised. And impressed, no doubt. Master Louisoix, Minfilia, Papalimo, and not to forget.
Oh there. Heard there was a visiting expert who we might bother with a few questions. I take it you'd be the one.
Yes, I am.
Wilson and Blovida, Sharlayan's foremost researchers in the field of teleportation magic, and Moonbreeder's parents.
I was wondering when we get to see them.
It hath been some time. 'Tis good to see you in good health.
Likewise, old friend. Blovida and I were most honored to answer the call. Never expected this reunion, though, did we, dear?
I'll say, the nerve. Sending that letter, then running off to the gods know where. Do you have any idea how worried we were?
I'm sorry. 'Twas remiss of me not to deliver the news in person. No, more than that. 'Twas I who...
Our daughter was disillusioned after Master Louisoix left her behind. The day the Scions called upon her was the happiest I'd seen her in years. She made her every choice of her own free will. No one could have ever forced her to do otherwise. Don't blame yourself for her death. Celebrate her life. You know that's what she'd want.
If there is one thing we resent you for, it was that we could not be there to mourn her with you. Reading the words you penned in that shaky hand, we must have cried as much for you as we did for her.
I'm sorry. I truly, truly am. I knew not what to say. Knew not how to express my feelings. The poems and platitudes of wiser men, musings on sadness and loss, studied and memorized, and meaningless in the moment.
Silly boy. We are all powerless before such grief. Even now, try as I might, the words escape me. But in our hearts, we know. We always know.
I remember when you were young, how the lads teased you for choosing the company of books over others. Our moon didn't take kindly to that. Be nice to Urianger, she'd shout, and give them a walloping. No matter how many times we scolded her.
So we offered a suggestion. Rather than starting fights, why don't you be the bridge between Urianger and the others? She had to mull it over for a while, arms crossed, brow furrowed in intense thought. But from that day on, she never let you be alone. She'd drag you outside to play, pepper you with endless questions, read the same books you read, all to try and understand you that much better. I'm sure it was annoying and exhausting at the time, but she only ever had the best of intentions.
And look at you now, at the center of the crowd. The reason there even is a crowd, having brought these people together. You've no idea how proud we are.
To see the boy, our daughter, trusted and believed in more than anyone, grow into the man she always knew he could be. I can see her in you, too. Feel her. She walks with you wheresoever you go. So thank you, Urianger, for being who you are.
I think I can feel her too. The truth of her life. Not sorrow, but hope and love.
important to him, wasn't she?
You could ask the man himself.
Oh, no. But watching this exchange reminds me how much I've yet to learn about your world. And its people.
You can live here your entire life and hardly learn a thing. And that's why it's too soon for this to end.
Oh, Green. Be assured that I am fine. I am full glad to see them too, after so very long. Gladder still that it was in your company. As difficult as it was to accept their kindness, it would have been far harder had I faced them alone. Ahem. Now ask my gratitude for lending courage to the Lopporits. Not disposed to rest on their laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so I shall remain to aid them as need be. If thou art needed elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alice. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gate. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she's less like to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing. Until later.
Green, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks, are you sure? Huh, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alfina should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. Deliver the crate of samples to Alfinode. You'll have 3 minutes to complete the task. Now, what does this say?
Basically just move to the section.
No, it says something within.
I mean, you hear it squeaking.
No, I'm trying to read the letters on it.
Oh.
Hazard. It says hazard within. What sort of hazard can be squealing? A nutkin? Oh, you're helping with the crates. Wonderful. You can put that there with the others. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? Huh. Then I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we were tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia to begin with, so was I. It turns out that this is the base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. A father included, I suspect. That should be everything. You carried all of that at once. Are you trying to injure yourself? Oh hush, they're lighter than they look. And not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that we finished. Theopoldin is in the courtyard. We can report to him. Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance at least. Considering where we are, we might learn something interesting. It never ends, does it? What can I do for you? We brought samples from the Charlian Hamlet, Series 110, the crates are by the entrance. Ah, thank you. I instructed one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You're fortunate children, are you not? Alpinode and Alice at your service. You're well acquainted with father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studium. I remember when you were yay high waddling hither and thither. Clearly it's been quite some time since we met. Good to see you again, within your father's knowledge, no less. You knew our parents when they were young. What were they like? Pray, spare no detail. I should like nothing more than to regale you. Alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission. We can help with that. In exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course. Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery. How about you each take one? Wait right here. The lengths Alice will go to get blackmail material. You'll find a forum representative waiting to collect these near the southernmost structure. Well, I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind Alpinode and Alice, I'm sure they'll be back soon enough. Are you not one of the scions of 7th Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the Aetherburner. The nature of this paperwork is not particularly well-guarded secret, but due to how dull it is to read, will nevertheless remain largely unknown. Theopoldin's paperwork! I was beginning to worry he had misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents in my hands at last. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you scions succeed. The Exodus is without a doubt the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, so we must be circumspect in all respects. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlian has never been a nation to be curious. It would be a tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stymie your pursuit of truth. Quick and efficient. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' papers only need to be delivered elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning any moment. We return, and with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note. You both have my thanks, and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe, you struggled out of your swaddling clothes and... That is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents we'd like to hear, to reiterate. Of course. I've known your father for so long I must have something. Well, as you know, part of why the Leveilleur name garners such respect in Charlion is your family's storied history. You two can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard Nunkref's Hope, lineage few can claim. I never thought of much of it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation, they were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. It is why Nunkref's pronouncement, renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason, has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, aye. Archon Louis Soir looked not to Nunkref's words, but his deeds. He asserted in the defiance of his peers that choosing to save the great and the small from rising tides was a true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy and fall of civilizations, that led him to conclude that to eschew conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to its doom. There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow. Thus, to ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. You remember his words well. Indeed, Archon Louis Soir lived by that personal creed, and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Charlian or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet Fortunault could not reconcile Louis Soir's deeds with the philosophy of their forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Fortunault agonized over this contradiction for much of his life. Gods, father. A son may carry his father's blood, but the choices are his own to bear. Is it not always thus? Gods know Fortunault's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. Yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You should have seen him when you were born. Barely recognizable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I've not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he decided that a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you're on the other end of it, I'm sure you will agree. I'll say. Thank you for your insight. When we next meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me into too much trouble now. I need the forum on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure that those specimens you brought make it to their proper places, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Hail, you three. It's Grahatia. Graha! Surely Kokol hasn't driven you out of the forge already. For better or for worse, no. However, he has set me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, but I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alice and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is. What about you, Green? Can you spare the time? Yes. Perfect. This shouldn't take long. An unspecified task awaits you. In the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantite falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Coco wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to the anvil at a moment's notice. To fabricate these pots, however, he needs the flames in Coco's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of aether being funneled to his furnaces. The flow of fire-aspected aether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustment will require 2 people to carry it out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part then. We'll see you in Charlian Hamlet once the adamantite arrives, if not before. This way then. The reactor is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire ether output. When I do, a rather large amount of water aspected ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect it to extract at least a few elementals, which we would both rather not be drawn to the reactor itself. Trust me. Can I ask that you put down any that draw too near? They'll pose you little trouble, I'm sure. Right here, if you would. Did everything go smoothly out here? Yep, just a few water elementals. I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Kokol will have seen a difference in his forge flame by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, merely something I've been considering. Part of this I share with everyone, yet you and only you happen to Elpis. As we have established, refined adamantite is a product of Alag, of the Empire's twilight years in fact. It was a material which saw much use as part of the Alagans' efforts to extend beyond the bounds of this world, Dalamud of course being the most prominent. Of those who would push further, expand Alag's empire to encompass the heavens and the stars above. Perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist, Amon. Did he remember his life as Hermes? I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined the Asians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervor? This may seem far-fetched, but what if souls like mine have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards which they are inclined? We know with relative certainty that it was a gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alag that moved Amon to resurrect Emperor Zande. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zande's return, Amon provided these languid souls with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have, had not Zande been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Amon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same end, to instill the people with new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Amon was appalled by how those around him lived, but could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning. And both of them sought that meaning, that hope, in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their actions which matter. The motives are of no moment. And yet, to reach those stars on wings of adamantite, to travel to the ends of creation and beyond, the promise of hope everlasting, that much I do understand. But enough musing for now. Why don't we see how Kokol is getting on?